Hi, I'm Dave Okenquist, Senior Research Analyst here at Dent. I'm also the host of Economy and Markets TV. We are getting ever closer to our Rational Economic Summit in Austin, Texas, which is coming up in late October. We've got a great lineup of guest speakers. So in this special series, I'm connecting with a few of our guest speakers just for a short Q&A so you can get to know them and how they see the world. One of those guest speakers is joining me today, and that is Neil Howe. Neil, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here, David.
Yeah, great to have you on. If anybody doesn't know, Neil is currently the Managing Director of Demography at Hedgeye Risk Management. He studies demographics, generations research. He's coined the term millennials, which I am a member of the generation. He is also a best-selling author with certain books like The Fourth Turning. And I mentioned to Neil ahead that I have that book sitting right here next to me, so I'm familiar with it. So great stuff there. One interesting thing, actually, when I joined Dent Research, Neil, I was given a small pile of books of required reading, and one of those books was The Fourth Turning. So that was part of my education.
Good. I approve.
Carol, I would hope so. All right, so I got three questions for Neil, and if you're ready to just dive right in.
Sure.
All right, great. This first one is on disruption. I'm just going to read right here from the screen. It says, what's the most financially disruptive trend you see in the near and medium term, and how can today's investor profit from it?
Well, I think that's an easy one. I think what we're now facing near medium term, probably more near than medium, is the end stages of the current economic recovery. You kind of see the writing on the wall. The Fed is now in furious hike mode. We're due for 4 hikes this year, and we see inflation expectations rising, particularly the New York Fed. And this is kind of alarming, actually, what they're looking at, and combined with the fact that we're going to see simultaneously, and this is less well known, a rapid slowdown in employment growth. We've been pointing that out to everyone on an age and gender adjusted basis. We are virtually back to where we were in 2007 in the last phase of the economic recovery. And no one understands that the actual growth of the working age population has slowed to virtual zero now on a year-over-year basis, which means productivity is down. We have no employment growth left. So we're going to see alarmingly low levels of real GDP growth coming up, particularly the fourth quarter of this year, first quarter of next year, going into 2019, simultaneously with a little bit of stagflation as inflation expectations speed up. Right. And then you got the fact that the market's spooked. The market is ready for a reversal, and that gives rise to the whole danger of the inverting of the yield curve. And, you see that. Everyone's beginning to go long, right, rather than short, because everyone's sort of preparing for the next foot to drop amid all of the trade threats and kind of geopolitical tensions that are rising. This is the age of Trump. You never know what to expect. So this is the immediate threat of disruption. I don't think anyone should be at any illusions about that. It is the Fed ultimately which kills every business cycle. Right. And we thought for a while that this is a business cycle that might end differently. No, it looks like this is the familiar script, and we're seeing it play out.
Okay, so we're getting out of that, what they call the new normal, to maybe back to an old normal. That stuff that you mentioned.
Well, the old new normal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you mentioned Harry's been hitting on this thing about where are the workers going to come from. So I want to throw something at you, because sometimes things happen that things you don't know that could happen. Something you hear in the background is about automation, robotics, AI. Is there any chance that that sort of thing could make up for productivity in work, or is that just like a pipe dream at this point, at least in the near term?
Well, it's possible, but I think that's a long-term phenomenon. I don't think that's going to kick in the next couple of years. As you know, the recent trend in productivity growth has been pretty dismal, actually. Right. And it's not as though we are investing in all this productivity stuff, which is just around the corner or is just about to come in. We're actually not investing that much either. I think the new high tech with robotics and AI and all that stuff is going to be a lot more gradual than people think. And it's going to actually, I'm actually more optimistic about that. I'm not a techno-pessimist. I actually think that a lot of this is going to actually complement what people do.
Yeah.
One of the great misnomers or untruths about this high tech is that it simply replaces people. No, typically it doesn't. Typically it complements people. You still need higher order intelligence on the scene. I've even been a notable pessimist with regard to driverless cars. I think it's going to take a lot longer than people think.
Yeah.
And I think we know why. It's amazing what human beings are capable of, and their higher order intelligence is often required to actually get completely done the functions we require. So, no, I don't see that as either as a huge payoff or as a threat in the same rapid way that some people claim.
Excellent stuff there. Thanks so much for that answer. That was perfect. Let's get into our next question here. This was on wealth preservation, and based on your first answer, I think I kind of know where this is going. So if we're going to be in this sort of low growth environment, and we're sort of going to be in this like transition period, is sort of what you're saying. So what's the single biggest threat to personal wealth to investors, and how can they guard against it?
Well, I think just given multiple expansion and the big bull market we've had leading into this next drop, this is going to be a global drop. I think as it's playing out, we've already seen a desynchronizing economy around the world. The United States is the last locomotive left. So when the United States begins to slow down, it's going to be tough. The dollar is going to be high. The EMs are going to be hammered. And it's going to be really tough from a market perspective because we're going to see, earnings as a share of national income compress at the same time we see multiples compress. I mean, imagine that, along with the actual recession and the decline in GDP. So this is going to be a very tough crunch. And I think the secret is to get out of, I think you're going to see the resurgence of active as opposed to passive. And I think you're also going to see moving away from growth back to value. The Seeking Alpha had a recent piece that just a dirge-like piece about people kind of rending their garments and putting ashes on their head about how value investing has been such a horribly losing proposition in recent years. That will switch, right? Yeah. It always does. And I think we're going to go back to value, particularly since a lot of the growth investing is basically momentum investing. It's multiple expansion investing. And this is a killer. In this particular recovery, it's particularly dependent on companies with promises of future pricing power and increasing concentration in their markets. And I do think that if you look at the decline in business dynamism, a lot of it is revolving now around concentration and issues of monopoly. Yeah. Expect that to come back big time in public discourse over the next year or two.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, we talk about trade and that sort of thing. It surprised me that antitrust hasn't been an issue coming forward. We've seen a number of large mergers. We just had AT&T. There's going to be Sony Pictures with Fox. I mean, it seems endless, right?
Well, you remember that Trump came in, was going to be a populist on this. He was definitely negative toward the merger. And the antitrust division of the Justice Department got humiliated in this most recent decision. But it's going to come back. And the reason it's going to come back is because both sides of the political spectrum actually support it. You've got everything from the University of Chicago and Josh Hawley from Missouri, who's a huge, Google basher smasher, to obviously on the left. I mean, you look at the younger people on the left, the millennials are pushing in. They are all huge antitrust fanatics. So when you've got both sides of the political spectrum in an era when we are going to naturally gravitate toward the extremes, I think it's highly likely that that's going to return.
Yeah, interesting. We are seeing actually that sort of left-right alliance in one place, which is Italy, that populist rise, which is really surprising and totally upset everything.
I've always said that the biggest new thing in the 2016 election was Trump and Bernie Sanders. And what you have in Italy is a situation where both Trump and Sanders won. So
Crazy, right?
they basically, you had a merged program of Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, and that's basically what's going into place in Italy right now.
Yeah, well, if you were to do almost like a blind, just policies on a piece of paper between Trump and Sanders, if you strip out all the personality and the rhetoric, a lot of many things that were not that far apart.
Well, particularly trade.
Yeah.
I think monopolies. I think just any means of bringing back sort of economic clout to working class America. I mean, yeah, there are actually surprisingly a lot of things that overlap there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks on that one. Let's move on to our final question. I don't want to keep you too long, Neil, but this is a great conversation. But the last question I have for you is, how would you advise today's individual investors to prepare for America's next rendezvous with destiny?
Well, as you know, David, my thesis is we're in what we call a fourth turning, which is a period of creative destruction in the political sector, in the public sector. And I think that's the thing we are going to see huge over the next decade. We're going to see hints of it coming in the 2018, midterms, which are just coming up. I think 2020 figures that to be an absolute, blockbuster of an election. You can just imagine the two sides here, each fearing that they're about to lose America to the other side, right? So I think that we are in a period of surging populism and authoritarianism around the world. We see it in Southern Europe. We're going to see it in the next election in Italy with Jeremy Corbyn, with his just surprising millennial-fueled performance in the UK. Yeah. We're seeing it huge in Southeast Asia, and from India to China to Japan to Philippines. Charismatic nationalist leaders appealing to their cultural core and being supported more by the young than the old. This is a bellwether, really, around the world, and it's a generational trend. We believe that the kind of lineup of generations leads inexorably. We've got senior leaders who were born just after the last crisis, and this is a trend we've seen again and again in history. And this is when we remake things in the public sector, in public life, and at the spearhead of that, moving very rapidly into politics, will be the millennial generation.
Well, I'm certainly, as a younger guy, I'm certainly ready for the upending of the current world order. I'm not afraid to admit that right now. But I do have one thing that's going on with this sort of clash. Yeah, 2020 is going to be insane. But do you have a worry about political violence in the U.S. or abroad? It feels like there's a lot of tension and anger simmering under the surface. I hate to rule anything out. Yeah. It's interesting. We've seen the rapid decline in civility here in America, and it's worth remembering the famous caning that occurred on the Senate floor in 1856, just on the eve of the Civil War. There were the same signs, both in Bleeding, Kansas, and in Washington, D.C., on the eve of the Civil War, a rapid decline in civility just on the eve of a crisis. I am hopeful that doesn't necessarily have to happen, but as we know, that kind of violence, that kind of disorder actually encourages people to think a little bit more outside the box, a little bit more radically about pushing, about moving toward new solutions. If there's one thing we know of, and that is declining trust in the system, pushes people outside the box and into places that we normally don't think of as possible, become possible. Yeah, people think that they're marginalized, and then they're not attached to the system anymore. And then, like you said, anything is possible.
And we have a whole generation in midlife now, moving into midlife, Generation X, that never felt attached to anything. These are the ultimate nomads. These are the throwaway kids who never trusted the system. They still don't. And you have boomers who are fighting their culture wars, and basically the only one who really wants a big system to work are millennials, but they're still out of power. Yeah. That's an interesting situation politically, and that's what we have to see evolve over the next decade.
Yeah, well, what a very exciting time to be alive, Neil.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I always tell people, embrace it,
Yeah.
Would you rather be living in a boring time? I don't think so.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, we every day there's seemingly something new. So we are we've got a lot going on. Neil, I want to thank you for all your answers. I want to thank you for coming on. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person at our Rational Economics Summit. Again, that's in Austin, Texas, on October 25th through 27th at the Hilton Austin. I've never been to Hilton, and Neil says I'm totally missing out. So I hope they probably feel the same way. For any of you who have not been to Austin, to go, right, Neil?
Yes.
All right. I understand we have some early bird pricing. These tickets will not last. It will sell out, so reserve your seat now. Thank you again, Neil, and thank you all for watching.
Great, David. Thank you.